I am Mohammed the Egyptian Cook, and for today's live, we are making an Egyptian style sausage called Sogo. This is popular in Egyptian culture. It's more so of a street food, but it is commonly made at home as well. And that is what I am going to be showing you in today's live. Also, I will be working on recording with my main camera to make the final cut, which I will be sharing to all of my social media platforms for each of you to watch and share with your family and friends. For those of you who watched my previous lives, as you know, first thing that I do is I record all of my voiceover audio for said recipe video that I am working on. And if you are wondering why the font size is so large, it is because I am legally blind. I was diagnosed with Stargardt's disease, which is a form of macular degeneration. What this means is my vision is essentially at 20/200 in both eyes. So to put it in perspective for you, a person with 20/20 vision, what you see at 200 feet, I see at no more than 20 feet. Hence why I have to do something like this with large size font. And you might be wondering, why don't you wear glasses or get LASIK surgery? The answer to that is because at this time there's not necessarily a cure for Stargardt's disease. So individuals like myself who suffer from macular degeneration just have to do things a little bit differently. When it comes to reading, large size font is a suitable solution. So this is Arial 28-point font, just to put it in perspective for you. And yes, when it comes to me reading it, I am still going to have to hold it closely to my face in order to see it. To take it a step further, you might be wondering why I do not interact with what is being written in the comments section. It is because it is way too small for me to see. Even with me standing this close to my phone, still it is way too small for me to be able to see. So with my lives, I do not interact with my comment section. I know a lot of you have complained about that in the past, and to be honest with you, it is what it is. If you don't like it, then you can simply leave. There are so many other people who go live and they interact with the comment section. You have all these non-playable characters, the NPCs. If that's what you want, then go to that. But if you're looking for that in my kitchen with my lives, I'm sorry, this is not the place for you. There's only so much I can do, and that's the way it goes when it comes to with you in the comment section. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started with recording my voice over audio. So I have my camera set up here. Let's turn it on. Let's turn this way. Just give it a second here. The picture should come up. There we go. There I am. So I'm just going to go through and record all of my lines. Anything that is highlighted in yellow, it's just my way of letting myself know. For that portion of the recipe video, I actually need to angle the camera up onto me while you can still see the food, like, down here on the countertop. And then I say whatever it is that I am saying in that step of in that sequence or step of the recipe video. Anything that is not highlighted is my way of knowing this is going to be a voiceover audio, so I record it beforehand. And then when it comes to the actual visuals, the shots for the final cut, the camera will be facing down, like on the tomatoes, for example, like this. The camera will be down and you'll just hear my voice in the background describing, do this, do that, whatever the case may be. So let's go ahead and get started here. Over medium-high heat. I already skipped the first line. All right, let's so everything stays in order. We could just do that one again. It'll be okay. In Egyptian culture, we call this Sogo. Over medium-high heat, not medium-high, just medium heat. I'm like adding words already. All right. Take 3 for this one. Over medium heat, fry beef sausage in olive oil for a few minutes on each side. You do not want to fully cook it just yet. Once browned, remove it from the pan and set it to the side. In the same pan, fry sliced onions with minced garlic for several minutes until fragrant. Then add sliced green bell peppers, followed by chili peppers for added heat. Let this cook for a few minutes until the peppers slightly soften. Now add finely diced tomatoes, along with a splash of white vinegar. Season it with ground coriander, ground cumin, sea salt, and black pepper. Add a splash of water and mix this really well. No, don't say, I should not say and there because I'll be repeating and again with the way, let me do this one again. Add a splash of water, mix this really well, and let it simmer for 5 to 7 minutes to allow the sauce to slightly thicken. That's why I took out the first and. Let's get rid of that clip. Now return the browned beef sausage to the pan. Mix this really well, ensuring the sausage is covered with the sauce. The rest of this page is all highlighted, so when it comes time for these steps, then I'll have to record those lines as it is actually happening. Fry vermicelli in semna for a few minutes while frequently mixing it until it browns. Then add washed Egyptian ruz, which is a medium grain rice. Mix it well and let it sit for about 1 minute. Add enough water to cover the ruz level no more than 1/2 inch. Once it reaches a boil, turn the heat down to low. let's get rid of this one. Where am I? All right, when the cook time is up. When the cook time is up, give the rus b'shariya a gentle fluff. Now back to the sago. Here is how the sago should look once finished. To serve sago, a bowl gets the rus b'shariya. For those of you who do not know, rus b'shariya is Arabic for vermicelli rice. I have a few more lines here. Pile the sago over it. Garnish it with fresh parsley, and it is ready to serve. Egyptian style sago. All right, so that completes all of my voiceover lines. Let me go ahead and turn the AC back on. I turn that and the refrigerator off as I record my voiceover lines because the microphone picks up all of that extra noise, and I don't like having it in the background for the purpose of my voiceover lines. But when it comes to the cooking side of things, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and turn the monitor this way. Let me get this camera set up, and then we can go ahead and start preparing the veggies that we need for this. All right, so that's tilted that way. It's a little bit slanted. Let's try that again. And then I'm going to, once I'm situated over here, I'm going to bring you guys over to the kitchen island over here. So we're going to clear up some of this space, and I'll set you guys over here. All right, that should be okay. Let's turn this off for now because we need to prepare the veggies. So we got tomatoes, we have onion, garlic, some bell peppers, and some chili peppers, but if you want to be technical, serrano peppers. And we have some parsley in here. Just let me get situated here, and then I'll bring you guys over. Cutting board, which is beside me here. These are my notes. We're going to need some bowls as well, which are right behind you. Let's see. Need one for the tomatoes. That should be okay. And then we're going to need the big one for the sago once it's cooked, because we're going to cook it just for a few minutes to start, just to give it some nice coloration. I need the knife. And we can go ahead and get started. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. This is Zbeda. Seasonings can go over here. All right, let's remove the stems, and then we're gonna give everything a quick wash, and then I'll bring you guys over. So recently, about, what was it, last week, I think it was like last week, Monday or Tuesday, sometime last week, towards the beginning of the week, I posted one of my old videos that popped up in my stories. It actually popped up on my personal Facebook from 4 years ago, and it was all in my stories. And it was like one of not original videos, but like in a way you could call it original videos, but not necessarily. Like my old style of videos, like before the Egyptian cook was the Egyptian cook. And when I saw that pop up in my stories, it kind of in a way, like it kind of set me back, because I was like, holy crap, like what was I thinking? Like these videos are so absolutely terrible. What was I thinking? Even like the way, I was speaking, my camera presence, all of the above, it was just terrible from A to Z. So I put it all together into one video, and I shared it on my social media pages, just to show, kind of where I started. So I'm going to share with you guys today a little bit of how everything came to be for me with the Egyptian cook. So we're actually going to rewind the clock several years back. So I think like 2016, 2017, somewhere in that ballpark. So I was taking classes at a community college. I was actually going for my business administration degree. So I had to start somewhere. And during that time, I cook a lot, like for myself. I'm not a chef or anything like that. A lot of you do call me chef, and I always will usually say like I'm not a chef, just a cook, because I have no actual culinary training, like professional training. A lot of it is either self-taught or I learned at home from like when I was living at home from my mom. So I learned a lot from her when it comes to Egyptian food. Then everything else was essentially just from me learning on my own and just going through the motions and process of cooking. So at the time, here, let me move you guys over here. Let's get the camera set up so that way you guys can see the cutting boards as well, or cutting board, I should say. Here, let me raise you up a little bit. Let's get everybody situated. I'm currently live on both YouTube and TikTok. So I got YouTube to my left and TikTok to my right. You can see the cutting board, and now TikTok can see the cutting board a little bit better. All right. Where was I? So, school. The good old days. Well, I don't know if I should call it the good old days or not, because I feel some type of way about school, but it is what it is. So at the time, I would cook for myself, after coming home from classes and all of that, and I would just cook. Whatever it was that I would cook, I would take like a quick video with my phone, and I would post each clip to my story. So like in this case, as I'm peeling this onion, I would just take a quick like 5-second, 10-second clip, and I would post it to my stories. So my stories were essentially the step-by-step of whatever it was that I was cooking, but I wasn't talking or anything like that. I was just showing it. There were no captions, nothing, no text on screen. It was literally just a video, like a quick video, like a quick shot of me doing whatever it is that I was doing. And then for the actual post, I would just take like a picture, kind of like a bird's eye view. If this is the plate, I would take a bird's eye view picture of whatever it was that I just cooked. And in the caption, I would write of that post, whatever that food was. And that's how I was doing things. So I was actually doing that all throughout for most of my college days, like for my undergrad. And I wasn't looking to do it, like to grow it into, what the Egyptian cook is today. It was just something for me to do, essentially. And on Instagram, I had like a couple thousand followers. Facebook, really not that many. Snapchat, I would get a lot of views from my stories. People really loved it on Snapchat from the story perspective. So I'm going all throughout college doing this, working on my undergrad, and my goal was to. So my degree was, I was working towards business administration with a major in management. And my goal was to, once I finished, was to pursue hotel management. So that like was my goal from day one, from like the very first day. I went and seen the counselors and advisors like that. That's what I was living and breathing. Hotel management from day one. But then, of course, as things progressed, COVID happened. So it kind of threw a wrench in my plans like it did everybody else's. I was 2 semesters away from completing my bachelor's degree. So at the time, I was also working at the community college that I took classes at. So I got laid off from there, threw a wrench in my plans with everything. And my goal, like at that point in time, was not only hotel management, like I wanted to not do, I didn't want to cook on social media. And it wasn't, like I said earlier, it wasn't big like what it is today. So when I actually graduated, I deleted my social medias, all of them except for like my personal accounts. That was like the only thing that I kept. But if you actually know me, you know that I only post on my personal accounts like once or twice a year. Like I barely use it. So COVID happens, throws a wrench in my plan. Now I finished with my degree. I'm job searching, but of course the job market just absolutely sucks and I cannot find work. I was getting a lot of interviews anywhere and everywhere. I was applying anywhere and everywhere. Whether it was retail stores or hotels or everything, restaurants from A to Z, didn't matter what industry I was applying. I would receive interviews, but a lot of what was happening with my experience, it was essentially a bait and switch that would happen to me, where I would apply for a position that I'm qualified for with my degree, but then the employer would come back and say, okay, we think you're great and this and that, and they would, hype me up, but then the but would come in at the end. They would be like, but we want you to start at this position instead. And I would look at the job description of said offer, and it would always be for something that is high school, like a job that is high school or GED equivalent. And I would say, no, like I'm not doing this. I didn't sit here and go to school to put myself in a better position to then start at an entry-level position for somebody with a high school or GED diploma equivalent. Like this makes no sense. And another thing too, a lot of these companies would sit here and talk about like, oh, we offer growth and development and all these things, all these key words, these PR words that you always hear people talking about. But then it's like, okay, so you offer all these, but with what you did with my interview, you're telling me that I'm qualified for the position I applied for, but then you offered me a much lower position that essentially has no requirements. Like, that makes no sense. So does your company actually offer growth and development? In my opinion, the answer is no. So I would decline. I would decline. I would decline. And a lot of people, who knew me would, they had their opinions and they judged, and they would tell me like, "Oh, Muhammad, you should take the job, and you have to start somewhere." It's like, no, that's not. I have all this experience. I went to school. I did all these things. No, I'm not doing that. I know my worth. So I kept on, doing me, going to all these interviews and this and that, and I did pick up the ball back up on my social media. Like, I don't know, I think it was like a year later, possibly. I don't remember exactly how long it was. So I picked the ball back up with my social media, but like I had no idea what I was doing with it. I had no sense of direction. I was kind of still doing like with my old style of how I was doing things. Like there was no strategy. Like I was clueless. I didn't even know how to make a proper uh, video, and I don't think I still do know how to make a proper video. But it is what it is. So what? So I'm job searching and I'm looking for everything. And at the time, with my food videos, I wasn't just focusing on Egyptian food. A lot of like out of, let's just say, like if I made 10 recipe videos, um, maybe one or two out of the 10 were Egyptian food. So like it was not my focus. And at the time, like my videos, they were averaging, a couple thousand views, for example, like 2,000 views, 3,000 views. Maybe if I was lucky, it would get 100 likes. So I'm going through, I'm still job searching, I'm still doing all of this. And then it was one company that just like, it was like my breaking point where I was like, you know what? Like, F the world, screw everybody, screw everything. This is complete and total BS. Like, I'm done trying to give everybody my 100%. I'm going to give myself 100%. And so it was actually with Whole Foods. I applied for a position. They had in like at the time they had like 3 or 4 of their departments where they needed like an assistant supervisor position in 3 or 4 of their departments, like produce, the hot foods or prepare foods, whatever it's called, the bakery, and grocery. So they needed the same position in 4 different departments. So I applied for the one. I applied to produce, and I think I applied to the grocery one. I applied to 2 of them, I believe, but I know for a fact I applied to the produce one. So I'm a very persistent person. And after I applied for after I submitted my application, my resume and cover letter and all that stuff, I contacted the store. I introduced myself. I'm so and so, and I just applied for this position, and I wanted to gather more information on it. And hopefully, the purpose of my call is to request an interview for the position and present my candidacy. So I was able to get in contact with the store manager. We set up an interview, and my first interview was with the store manager himself. It actually went really well. In my opinion, I think it went really well. We sat down for about 10, 15-ish minutes, like in the cafeteria area. We talked, and then he gave me a full tour of the store. I met some of the other employees and like managers and things like that as well. He took me to like the back end of the store as well, and showed me a lot of like the employee side of things. And just the interview in general was, I believe, like about an hour long. So it went really well. And then it ended with, he wanted me to meet with, oh, I need to put water in this. He wanted me to meet with, since I applied for the like assistant supervisor position in produce, he wanted me to next interview with the actual produce supervisor or lead or manager, since that would be who I would since that would be who I am directly reporting to. So we set up a second interview. Went in, same thing. We talked for about 10-15 minutes in the cafeteria area, and then he gave me a tour of the store, and then I actually got to meet all of the like any of the staff that were working there that day in the produce department. I actually got to interact with every single one of them, even the people like in the back who prepare like the chopped up like fruits that you can buy and things like that. Got to interact with them, and you know, the people doing the truck order just from A to Z. Like, I got a full picture of their operations and everything. And that interview was about like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours long, because it was like in depth. You know, I got to see everything from A to Z. So when he liked what he saw, then they had me come back in for a third interview. And this was with the assistant, like the assistant store manager. Then I had a fourth interview, which was with the, what's it called? The stock manager. So I had 4 interviews all in total. So in the end, after all that was said and done, I get a follow-up email from them, and they offer me a position. They offered me just a regular crew position working stock full-time, not in produce, just in general. So like if one day they need me in this department, then I would work in that department doing stock. If they need me in another department, then so on and so forth. So that's what they offered me. It was minimum wage, whatever the minimum wage was at the time, like $15 an hour or whatever the case was, and part-time. So that was like my tipping point, where I was like, you know what? Screw everyone, screw everything. I'm done giving everyone my 100%, and in the end, I get nothing. I need to give it all to myself. So that brings me back to my social media. So at the time, I had picked the ball back up on my social media, but I really was not taking it seriously because I had no sense of direction. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I just didn't know. So I kept on making more videos, and I was just making whatever foods. And then one day, you know, I had an epiphany where like I was, what's it called? Like where you hit the, like the crossroads or whatever, and you have to make a choice, you know, are you going this way or that way? That's basically where I was at. And I was like, I need to, you know, do something different with my social media. You know, if this is what I'm truly going to do, I need to take it seriously. So on YouTube, they actually provide, in my opinion, in comparison to all of the other like social media platforms, I think they provide the best data and analytics for like your video performance and your channel performance in general. So I just really started studying all of my video data and analytics for everything that I was posting. And I noticed a trend, I guess you can call it, in a way. So like I said earlier, like for every 10 videos, maybe 1 or 2 of them were Egyptian food. The other 8 or 9 videos were just, you know, whatever, just any type, like a burger, pasta, whatever. It was non-Egyptian foods, to put it simply. So I noticed at the time I was getting like 2,000 to 3,000 views per video. I noticed for my Egyptian food videos, they were not getting 2,000 to 3,000 views. They were getting about 7,000 to 8,000 views, for example. So yeah, it's not much, but when you're looking at it from a percentage standpoint, they were performing on average 3 to 4 times better than my non-Egyptian food recipe videos. So I was just like, holy crap, like this is when the light bulb, you know, the imaginary light bulb lights up that's above your head. And I was like, holy crap, like this was in front of me, in front of my face this entire time. And I did not realize it. So then I told myself I need to focus on Egyptian foods. That's what people want to see based on the numbers that I was getting. So then I stopped making videos for like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months. I don't remember exactly how long, but it was around that time frame. It was the summer of um, 2023, I think it was, if I'm remembering correctly. So the summer through the fall time of 2023, that's where I really took a lot of time off, and I just started studying cameras and how to make a video and lighting and microphones and sound quality, all that type of stuff. Because mind you, at that point in time, before that, all of my videos that I was making were just with my phone. No microphone, no nothing. Just with my iPhone, just set it up. I bought like a $30 tripod when I first started doing this. And that's how I was doing everything. So the video and sound quality was really not the greatest because I had no idea what I was doing. And for editing purposes, I was using iMovies to edit my videos. So I took that time off, I learned, and then I bought the equipment that I needed, and then I started making videos. Like my first couple, they weren't Egyptian food. I just wanted to like warm up at the time with it, and just because it was my first time using like the actual equipment. So my first like 2 or 3 videos coming back, they were not Egyptian foods, but it was more so just a warm up, which is okay. It is what it is. But then after that, I started essentially doing nothing but Egyptian foods. I flipped the script, I guess you could call it. So once I started doing that, my videos went from getting, a few thousand views. They started getting, tens of thousands of views. Some of them hit over, I don't need that yet. Some of my videos started hitting, over 100,000 views. So, it was all unfolding right before me. And it was right in front of my face this entire time. I just did not realize it. And then it was January 1st, 2024. That was my first viral video where it surpassed over 1 million views. And it was actually my Egyptian goulash video. And from then on, the rest is history. Oh, this part's really embarrassing, but it is what it is. I don't care. My username at the time, so back in my college days, my username at the time was me in the kitchen. ME for my initials, then in the kitchen. So it basically mean, Mohammed Al Gamal in the kitchen. And then when I came back, after COVID and started doing this again, I didn't want to use me in the kitchen. So I did, my username was either like Muhammad's Kitchen or Muhammad's Cooking. I used both. I don't remember in what order. But then I didn't like it because I was like, hey, Muhammad's the most popular name in the world. Like, if, when the time comes and this gets big, people won't be able to find me. Like, I need something, different, something that will really stand out. So then that's when it hit me, and I changed my name to the Egyptian Cook, and the rest is history. So one of the comments from this old video that I posted last week was somebody commented saying that that at the time with my older videos, like I actually seemed like I cared what people had to say. You could tell from my body language and the way I spoke, and it was, oh my goodness, it was embarrassing. It's terrible. Like if I could go back in time, I would definitely yell at my younger self. So the person commented that, back in the day, it seemed like I cared what people had to say, and now I just they wrote that DGAF, which I started laughing because it's very, very, very true. So many people now will sit here and complain about what I do, whether it's my recipe videos or my lives or how I do things or me not interacting with the comments. It's never ending. And I think it is all absolutely hilarious. So that essentially is how I became the Egyptian cook. Now you guys know. And if you listened to my story, thank you for listening. If you did not listen to my story, I don't know what to tell you. Thank you anyways. So now, one of one of my biggest complaints that I get is I get a lot of DMs on Instagram, and it's primarily from Middle Eastern men that complain the most. Oh my goodness. And they don't like the fact when I say you have to try this Egyptian food. Oh my goodness, they get so annoyed by that. And it's just like, listen, bro. Like, well, I don't know, bro, but you know what I mean. You know, if you're eating something, regardless of whatever it is that you're eating, if you're eating something and it's delicious and you're with somebody, what does a person say? 9 times out of 10, you tell the person like, hey, you have to try this, and you give them, you offer them a piece of whatever it is that you are eating. So that's all I'm doing. That's all I did, is I took something that people normally say and I added an adjective saying you have to try this Egyptian food. That's all I did. But people get so upset at that. And it's just like, I don't get it. I think it's funny when people complain about things like that. I once had a guy, this was on TikTok, he commented on my video saying same thing, but he did this in the comments section, and he's like, oh, you saying you have to try this Egyptian food sounds like you're giving me an order, and I don't do well with taking orders from other men. It's like, bro, shut the hell up. Like, nobody asked you to be here. So I responded back to him, not saying that, but that's the nature of it. So I responded back to him and I said, if it was an order, your response would have been, sir, yes, sir. So that was actually my exact response to him. And people in the comments section had a field day with this. And it ended up getting like over 100 other people to interact in the comments section. And a lot of them were taking my side, but some of them were like, oh my goodness, you're being mean. And, this is harassment and all these things. It's just like, oh my goodness. Like, what I said was absolutely hilarious. It wasn't anything really negative. And if you're too sensitive, then you shouldn't be on social media. So he ended up, he didn't like my comments. So he didn't like the fact that a lot of people were taking my side and just laughing at at my response. So he ended up deleting the original comment, unfortunately, which then consequently deleted the entire thread. Other complaints I get. People will complain that this is not the original recipe. And what's funny is in my videos, I never claim that this is the original recipe. The closest I've ever done to that I've ever come to saying something like that would be essentially when I'm making طعمية. For those of you who do not know, طعمية is the original falafel. So falafel, originally called طعمية, actually originated in Egypt. And it's traditionally made with split fava beans. However, once it was adopted by other regions, people started mixing the split fava beans with chickpeas, also known as hummus. And when that happened, then people started calling it falafel. And then there are some cultures who do not use split fava beans in general, and they only use hummus. But once again, they call it falafel. I think Egypt is actually the only like country or region that calls it dameya because it originated there. So in the recipe videos where I've made dameya in the past, and I actually have, I just made it last week in last week's live, I explain all this, but I never say that this is the original recipe. So people, they come up with these narratives that satisfy their own realities just to fault you. So it is what it is. I think it's funny. And then there are those who will sit here and count and say, oh my goodness, this is the 5th time that you've made an Egyptian food recipe and it's not the authentic one. It's not the original one. You need to start telling your people this. It's like, what? No, like go sit down somewhere. Like a restaurant, when you go to a restaurant, like a burger restaurant, for example, they don't have to sit here and disclose, oh, this is the original recipe and this is not. And no, that's why we have restaurants. That's why we have all these options. Not everybody cooks the exact same way, but people just want to sit here and complain just to complain. What else? What are some of my other big complaints? People get confused as to why I wear a suit. It's how I dress. Okay, like I don't know what else to tell you. This is how I dress. Okay, I think it's important for a person, just generally speaking, to present yourself, to put your best foot forward with whatever it is that you are doing. I'm not going to use these ones. I'll set them to the side. I think it's important to put your best foot forward with anything and everything that you do. And this is how I'm most comfortable. But people, they get so upset at that. Another one that people get mad at is my yelling. Why are you always yelling? Okay, stop complaining so much and maybe I won't yell. Actually, I'll still yell. That's the reality of it. I forget which recipe video, but it was one that I posted like a few weeks ago. I said something like along the lines of, if you do not follow my directions or instructions, I will yell at you. So somebody had commented, and he had said, he's like, I have a feeling that even if I listen, even if I follow your instructions, you're still going to yell at me. And the answer is yes. That is absolutely correct. But other than that, you know, those are like my primary complaints that I get from people. What else? I think that's, yeah. Why I yell, why I look the way that I look. A lot of people get confused with my vision disability as well, as to why, you know, my font size on my notes is so large, or why I'm not always looking directly at the camera, or why I'm not interacting with the comment section, or why this, why that. Just so many people just complain and complain and complain and complain. It's like, oh my goodness, like, can't a person ever just say, you know, thank you for once? Or if you don't want to say thank you, just, you know, there's nothing wrong with staying quiet. You know, like you don't always have to say something. Like let's think about it, especially with social media. You really think that, let's just say, even if I make this wrong or I slice this tomato differently from how you do it, does it really impact you? Is it, you mean to tell me that my video upset you that much that you're going to sit here and complain? Like, I'm cooking food, bro. Like, go sit down somewhere, okay? That's what I have to say about that. Well, I could say a whole lot more. I could be a lot more vulgar with it, but I'm trying to be nice here. I'm still trying to be nice, you know? So me yelling, that's like it's like a happy medium. Let's just call it a happy medium for those of you out there. One thing that I learned from all of this is that there are those who go out there and do it, those who actually put themselves out there and risk, taking that step forward. And there are those who will just sit here and complain, who will just remain stagnant. They will sit here and complain. And 10 years from now, they're actually going to be in the exact same place that they were before. They were too afraid to take any risk or to take any steps forward with what they do. And then the person that they tried holding back ends up being more successful and jumping leagues ahead of them because they're actually doing it. There are those who do, and there are those who do not. So the question is, which one do you want to be? Well, let me rephrase that. The question is not which one do you want to be, because just because you want to be the ones who do it doesn't mean you actually will. So the question essentially is are you the one who does, or are you the one who does not? It's that simple. And once you start doing things, once you start taking those steps, people will criticize you. Oh my goodness, it's ridiculous. Like when I started making my videos, a lot of people questioned, what I was doing. Like, why am I wasting my time to make a video that's not even getting 100 likes? Why this? Why that? Why am I not taking that job and being grateful? It's like, no, like I know my worth. I'm actually standing up for myself, and I'm taking a stand for myself. I'm actually putting myself first. And people will be like, oh, you're being selfish. It's like, listen, if anybody else had the opportunity to do it, they would, in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I was just talking to a friend about this the other day. If somebody who is rich and successful and came up to you and said, hey, I will give you everything that you need to build your social media up and all this type of stuff and this and that, or, they would take it without question. They wouldn't sit here and be like, oh, but this and but that. No, they would, without hesitation, they'd be like, okay. And they'd be like, screw everybody. They'd be like, screw everybody, bye. I don't know you. And and then they'll put themselves above everybody else. Difference is the people who actually take that step and work towards it. They don't necessarily take those handouts because they learn how to do it for themselves. They learn how to build. They learn how to put themselves in that better position. So right now, just to bring everybody up to speed, we are working on, well, right now we're preparing the veggies. We're at the tail end here actually with the tomatoes. The tomatoes are the last thing that I have to prepare. And then we can start cooking the sausage. Right after this, well, I'm gonna have to clear the counter first, and then we will start cooking. Oh, that's going to be another complaint that I get in the comment section. I know for a fact with this video, there are going to be those who are going to be like, oh, sausage is haram. Okay, but once again, sausage does not imply that it is pork. Sausage is actually a style of how meat is prepared. But I know for a fact that there are going to be those who, like I said earlier, you know, they're going to, should I do this one? No, I'll hold off on this last one as well. Just give me one moment. I'm going to wash my hands. There are those who, despite all the resources that we have in today's world, they will refuse to do any research on anything just so they could tell whatever narrative they want that best suits their own reality and does not compromise their own reality. So people will most likely complain. You watch and see. When I post this video, give me one moment, I need to grab a towel. When I post like the final cut to this video, I know for a fact, and there will probably be people in this live as well that will sit here and say, oh, sausage is haram, because they have this thought or assumption that sausage automatically means pork, which it does not. That has happened before in previous videos where I used nutmeg, for example, and people will sit here and be like, oh, nutmeg is haram. It's like, okay, yes, you can, I don't know the exact scientific term of if a person consumes too much nutmeg, there's some sort of like intoxication, or it becomes a hallucinogen or something like that. I don't know. So too much of it can, you know, be bad. But that's the same for anything. Just like, you know, drinking too much water, you can die from. There is such thing called water intoxication. I'm trying to think where to put this. Oh, my counter space is getting wild. Is getting crowded, not wild. So there is such thing as water intoxication. So does that make water haram? No. It just means we have to be responsible with what we do. So with what I'm making today, Egyptian style Sogo, I already know that people are going to sit here and complain and be like, oh, that's haram, bro. All right, I need to turn this camera back on because now we can start cooking, and I can start recording the shots that I need with my main camera. Here are my notes. I need some olive oil. I'm also going to need some, well, actually I don't need the white vinegar just yet. We're gonna circle back to that. So just let me get everything in position. Let me get my main camera situated, and I'm going to get you guys situated and make sure that you can still see everything. And then we will start cooking. So just give me one moment, please, while we do this. Excuse me. Oops. All right, that looks okay, I think. Be right back once again. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead. I do have a recording line. Nice deep breaths. I'm trying to stay calm here. Let's see how long that will last for. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. Over medium heat. Let's review that shot. We'll see how it looks, and then we'll go from there. Let's do it one more time. Over medium heat. All right, now I need to adjust the camera angle down. So that way it is more focused on the flame. Oops. I just kind of crushed the, what's it called? The 6-port outlet thing, whatever that nonsense is called. Oh, I forgot to make sure that you guys can see everything okay in the pot. Since I swapped that over, it looks okay to me, so you guys should be good to go. Next shot. Okay. And when I'm recording with my main camera, I'm not necessarily saying anything because I already recorded my voiceover lines. So if you're wondering why I'm not saying anything during those shots, that is why it is happening. So next shot. All right. Now let's position the camera back up. So that way we can see in the pot. Right, so that is up. Let's go a little bit higher. And we're going to tilt it down. That is way too low. Tilting it down a little bit more. All right, so now the pan is more centered. All right, that bottle's in focus. Let me get this situated. Let's see. Let's see here. I'll use one of these bowls. I'll use the large one for it. So I'm just opening the package for this, going to transfer it into the bowl to make it easier for me to, when it comes for the shot, instead of showing this package, I'm gonna show the bowl. Let me get this out of the way. I did not realize these were still going to be connected like so. Good thing I did this beforehand instead of doing it directly with the package. That would have been a disaster. It is what it is, though. That one's still connected. No, it is not. That one's super tiny in comparison to the rest. Got a few more here. And then we are good to go. All right, let's get rid of this nonsense. Savannah. Let me wash my hands. And then we can start cooking. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring this back. All right, we are centered once again. Let's turn the flame on. So we're just gonna, flames at a medium heat. Excuse me. And, oh, I need to verify this on TikTok, this puzzle thing. I hate these things. Give me one moment. There we go. Sorry about that TikTok. The little I'm not a robot thing wanted me to slide the puzzle piece over. All right, now let's get the shot of me putting some olive oil in. Let's do this. All right, that was olive oil. Give it about 30 seconds. Then we're gonna add the beef sausage in. We're just gonna cook it for a few minutes on each side just to give it some of that brown color. And then we're going to remove it from the heat, and then we're going to work on the veggies and the sauce. All right, let's do this. All right, so just a few minutes on each side just to give it that nice color. Then we're gonna transfer it out of the bowl. So there's many ways for you to make Egyptian style sago. I am just showing you one of the ways to prepare this. It is most popular in the form of street food, where it's sauteed with some veggies, and then you eat it in fino bread. Fino bread is essentially like a kind of like a hot dog bun, but much larger. So let me get a shot that I need with my main camera. All right, I got the shot that I need. So when you order it, traditionally, like I said, it's a street food in Egyptian culture and you eat it in the form of a sandwich. But when it's prepared at home, you can serve it alongside ruz, which is Arabic for rice. And that is how I am making it today, where this is going to be separate from, I'm actually going to be pairing it with vermicelli rice. And there are those who make it with sauce, without sauce. So there's a multitude of ways to prepare Egyptian style sogo. So just a couple more minutes here of cooking. And then we're going to remove this from the heat. And then we're going to start to cook the veggies and prepare the tomato sauce. It's going to be a very simple process for that. One thing that you can do when it comes to cooking this beforehand, before you actually fry it, you can use like a fork or a toothpick to poke some holes in this. But that will do, that is essentially because when it cooks, it will expand a little bit and it can prevent it from popping or breaking. However, if you do that, then the sago itself will not be as juicy because a lot of those, like the juices and the flavors can now escape if you poke those holes beforehand. So it is to your preference. What I did here is I did not poke any holes. I just left it as it is. Let's give it another mix. I'm going to record another shot. Another like one-ish minute, and we will remove this from the heat, and back in the bowl it goes, and we're going to set it to the side. Then up next will be the garlic, the onions, green bell peppers, the chili peppers, tomatoes, some white vinegar, some seasonings. Well, in my case, a lot of seasonings because I do not measure my seasonings. And then a splash of water, and then we should be good to go. Let's see. You do not want to, whatever, in the same pan, 5 sliced onions. Okay, very good. One final mix, and then we'll take it out of the pan. Actually, let me do a close-up shot of me just holding one. Towel, I kind of spilled some, but whatever. It is what it is. All right, now let's take it out of here. There for now. Let's do this. One of them just like juiced all over my hand and sleeve, whatever. Oh man, oh man, oh man. One of them just like straight up took a piss on me. Like, what the hell? Let's see if the camera caught that. Alright, about to lift the pan up. Kind of, sort of, because I was holding like the plate like really, really high. Whatever. It is what it is. I got some on my sleeve. We should be okay though. I mean, dry cleaners will be good to go. Alright, let me do a close-up of this. Alright, so here's that. Just a few minutes on each side just to give it that brown coloring on all sides. So I'm just setting this to the side over here. All right. Let me turn the heat back on for this. That was olive oil. Actually, just turning off the heat for one moment. I need to run some water on the blade here for the garlic. This will make pushing the garlic off the blade much easier. Actually, did I say garlic or onions first? Fry sliced onions with minced garlic. I gotta do the onions first. So scratch that. Good thing I checked. So let me bring the onions over, actually. Oops. All right, let's try this again. In about 15-ish seconds, we'll go in with the onions. Oh, I need the remote so I can hit record. All right, that was the onions. Now let me go run some water on the blade. And then we'll push the garlic on the blade. All right, that was the garlic. Let me get whatever was left over on the cutting board in there as well. Let's get this out of the way. Where's the spoon? Right here. Where's the remote? There we go. Need to record a shot. So right now I'm just checking my notes to see how I set things with my voiceover. So that way I can plan how I'm going to add the next ingredient. So I said fry sliced onion with minced garlic for several minutes until fragrant. Okay, then add sliced green bell peppers followed by chili peppers. So the sliced green bell peppers. Oops. I'm grabbing those right now. sliced green bell peppers right here. So we're just letting this cook for a few minutes until the onions and garlic become fragrant. So approximately 60 more seconds, and we will add the peppers. First up will be the green bell peppers. And then after that will be the chili peppers. But if you want to be specific, I am using serrano peppers. Let me get a shot of me mixing in. About 20-ish seconds, and then we will add a first green bell peppers. And tomatoes I need to get ready. Instead of in the cutting board, I'm going to transfer them to a bowl. And then the white vinegar is here. And then I also need some water, which is over there. And then we should be, and then my seasonings are somewhere. All right, let's go ahead and add some peppers. All right, that was the green bell peppers. Let me grab the chili peppers. How did I say it? Then add sliced green peppers followed by the added heat. All right, let's do this. All right, so that shot's in. Let's see, let's cook for a few minutes. All right, so I need to get a shot of me mixing everything, then we're going to let it cook for a few minutes. All right, so now we're just going to let this cook for a few minutes, just to allow the peppers to soften up a little bit. While we're waiting on that, I'm actually going to get the tomatoes ready in this bowl. Tomatoes are in the bowl. Let me wipe down my mess. Mix, mix, mix. I am going to use that last tomato. So let me dice that up really quick. And then I'm going to add it to the bowl with the rest. All right, that last tomato is diced. Okay, that's good to go. All right, another mix. And then we will add in the tomatoes. All right, let's go ahead with the tomatoes. Get it all out of the bowl. Set this to the side. And now the vinegar. All right, say let this cook. Okay, I just did that along with a splash of white vinegar. Let's get the shot we need. Okay, that was the splash of vinegar. Now I need to grab one of those small bowls for the seasonings. Okay, and I'm be right there with the salt and pepper as well. Whoa. Up first is the coriander. Followed by some ground cumin. All right, that was the ground cumin. Up next is the sea salt. And finally, the black pepper. All right, let's move these out of the way. And I will be right there. And then I do have some recording lines that I need to do in a moment. I also need to add just a splash of water. So let's go ahead and get that shot in. All right, that was the water. All right. Add a splash of water. Okay, mix it. Blah, 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 blah. Now return. All right. So now I need to get a shot of me mixing this all together. All right. So let me mix this a little bit more. And then we're going to let it cook for approximately 5 to 7 minutes, just to allow everything just to reduce a little bit. And then we are going to introduce the sago back to it. Let's see, how did I say this? All right, temperature is good. I think everything is good to go. Let me clear up some of this space. Here is the sago that we browned earlier, about 10-ish minutes ago, I want to say. Let me drain some of this water from it. So this can be right. I'll keep this over here for now to the side. Oops. So I'm gonna, as this is cooking, I'm actually going to set some of this, like about half of this, because the veggie to sausage proportion is like way too much. Oops. So I'm going to reduce it. I'm going to take like maybe half of this, and like I'll eat it to the side, but for the purpose of the video and for the recipe, when I go to post the actual recipe to my website and to my social media, I'll include like the reduced measurements of like the peppers and tomatoes and everything that I used, so that way it's a better proportion of veggies to lahma. So let's see the time right now. It is 5:20. It's already been going for approximately 2 or 3 minutes. So about another 3 more minutes, we're going to let it cook. I do need to go grab the vermicelli from that way. And then I'm also going to prepare, like wash the roods while we're waiting on this. So I will be right back. All right, we got vermicelli, which is shariya in Arabic. And the ruz is in here. We have medium grain ruz, which is what we traditionally use in Egypt. Let's see, oh, the bowl I already have over here. I need the scissors, is what I need. Open this. All right. 1 cup. That's about 1 cup, a generous 1 cup of the ruz. little piece of tape to close that back up. So that's the ruz. This one is for the sharia, which is vermicelli in Arabic. So when I make rose b'sharia or vermicelli rice in English, I like to do it, keep it at a 1-to-1 ratio of vermicelli to rice. Just grabbing water now. Let's put it over there for the ruz. All right. Ruz, wash, 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 and then I'm going to drain the water. All right, I'm going to go drain the water now. All right, the rose is ready. Vermicelli's in a bowl. Sauce is going. Going to give it a nice mix. All right, I'm going to grab a bowl to remove some of this. Because this is too much in comparison to the actual sogo. That should be okay. All right, now that all of that's ready, the rose is taken care of. I need to wipe my area down. Okay, now return, mix it, blah, blah, blah. Then I have several recording lines once I incorporate the support back into here. So here we have it. We browned it earlier in this live before we started working on these veggies. All right, let's add this back in and go from there. All right, I'm gonna set this in the dishwasher. I do need to wash my hands as well because this bowl was messy. All right. Mix this really well, ensuring, okay, so I need to take a shot of me mixing it really well and then the recording line, then I have to adjust my main camera. I'm going to keep you guys just how you are. But then I have to adjust my main camera because then I have like four or five, one, two, three, four different bullet points, recording shots of me saying some stuff. So let's do this. Let me adjust the camera for this next part. I need to adjust it a little bit more. And then we can start recording those lines that I need. All right, that should be okay. Sausage is a form of cylindrical length minced lahma. It is not automatically. Cylindrical is a form of cylindrical length. Form of cylindrical length minced lahma. Okay. Oh, sausage is haram. Okay, khalas. Sausage is a form of cylindrical length lahma. It is not automatically pork. I think I'm supposed to say minced lahma. I knew I was forgetting a word. Oh, sausage is haram. Okay, khalas. Sausage is a form of... Forgot my line. Sausage is a form of cylindrical length minced lahma. It is not automatically pork. That's what I'm supposed to say. Oh, sausage is haram. Okay, khalas. Sausage is a form of cylindrical length minced lahma. It is not automatically pork. I think I said it right. Let me make sure I did for that one. All right, that one was good. I'm gonna do one more just for good measure, and we'll go from there. Oh, sausage is haram. Okay, khalas. Sausage is a form of cylindrical length minced lahma. It is not automatically pork. Okay, let this cook for 10 to 15 minutes until the sausage is fully cooked. Let this cook for 10 to 15 minutes. Let this cook for 10 to 15 minutes until the sausage is fully cooked and tender. Let this cook for about 10 to 15 minutes until the beef sausage is fully cooked and tender. Okay, so that one's good. I'm just grabbing the lid. Traditionally, Sogo is a... Traditionally, sago is a street food served in fino bread. It should be that simple, people. Why am I stumbling? Traditionally, sago is a street food served in fino bread. Traditionally, sago is a street food served in fino bread. But we're making it at home, so we're serving it with ruz bil sha'riya. Good to go. All right, I'm gonna set this on my main stove, which is behind me here. So let's get the heat on for that. There we go. So we're keeping it at like a medium heat. We're gonna let it cook for about 10 to 15-ish minutes. So we are at the tail end here because all we have to do is just prepare the ruz. Okay, so this is off and that. Let me wipe down my area a little bit. I need to move this stuff out of the way. I need to grab the samna out of the refrigerator. Samna is Arabic for clear. It's Arabic and interchangeable for clarified butter and ghee. All right, let me move these bowls out of the way. I actually need to bring my camera, my main camera, up onto the counter for this next portion, so that way you can actually see inside the pot. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. Let's tilt this down like so. Just let me get this main camera situated on this pot. And then YouTube, it looks like you guys can still see the pot. TikTok, you guys can still see the pot. Life is good. Let's do this. Let me grab a knife for this. I should have taken this out of the refrigerator earlier. I don't know why I forgot about it, but it is what it is. Actually, let me put this in the microwave for like, I don't know, hit it for 30, but I'll check it. I'll stop it in like 10 seconds so it does not pop in there from the pressure building up. Let's try this again. All right, so that is samna. Just add a little bit more. I got the shot that I need with the camera. There we go. should be enough right there. All right, we don't need this anymore. Ow! Don't need this anymore. Let me rinse off the spoon. Let's go ahead and fry up the vermicelli, which is a form of pasta. So vermicelli only takes a few minutes to cook. You want to frequently mix it as it cooks. You just want it to brown a little bit in color. Like I said, it only takes a few minutes. All right, so I got the shot that I need. Once it browns, I'm going to do another close-up of me kind of like holding it up to the, like up a little bit higher like this so it focuses on it. So like I said, as it is cooking, frequently mix it. So you don't want it to burn as well or only brown on one side, because it really does not take that long for it to cook, considering that it is super skinny like that. So it really does not take much at all. Once this browns, earlier we did wash some Egyptian style ruz, which is like a medium grain rice. And I need to grab the water as well, which is behind you guys. Now it's in front of you. All right, another mix. About one-ish minute, like 60, 70 seconds, and then I'll take the shot that I need of the close-up, and then we can incorporate the ruz. So ruz b'sha'ariyah is a very common like side dish or style of, or method, I should say, of preparing ruz or cooking the ruz in Egyptian culture. It's actually one of my favorite ways to prepare it, because not only is it simple, but it is really delicious as well. I like to make the ruz to sha'ariyah ratio 1:1. So for every 1 cup of ruz, I do 1 cup of sha'ariyah. And as you can see, it is starting to brown. All right, I got the close-up shot that I need. Let's come in with the ruz. Let me break it up a little bit to make this easier. All right, let's try this. All right, next shot. All right, we're going to let this sit for no more than 1 minute, just like that, and then we're going to add the water in. Water level should be no more than 1/2 of an inch above the rice level. Let me push these sides down of any of the ruz that kind of like was up along the side here of the pot. Make sure it's all covered with the water. Let me turn up the heat a little bit. We want this to reach a boil. Once it reaches a boil, then we immediately turn the heat down to low. We put the lid on and we keep it at that low simmer for approximately 12 minutes. That's all it takes for this to cook, for the roast bishariya to cook. And considering that we are using a medium grain rice, it really does not take that long for it to cook. If we're using like a long grain rice, that takes, for the same method, making the same exact dish, I would do everything the same, but if I was using a long grain rice, it would take approximately 45 minutes to cook when making it this way. So let me move the water out of the way. Let's check on the sogo. It is looking good and smelling very fragrant. Let's see, because I do have some recording lines as well. Add enough water once it reaches a boil. Let this cook for about 12 minutes is my recording line. Well, my full recording line is, and let this cook for about 12 minutes with the lid on. So we're just waiting for this to reach a boil. Let me crank up the heat to speed this along a little bit. We'll get the shot that I need of it boiling. We got some bubbles already formulating, which is good. And I think this is actually going to be like one of my shortest live cooking, whatever you want to call it, that I've done. Usually they're 4 hours long, like that's my average. I mean, let's be real, this is probably still going to be 4 hours long, even though we're at the tail end here of the cooking process for everything. I don't know, I'll figure out a way to make this 4 hours long. I think I started this at, oops, time did I start this? I don't know, I think I started this like at 4 o'clock or something like that, or a little bit before 4. Maybe, I don't know, I'll figure out a way to make this 4 hours. So like, I think I've been going at this for 2 hours now, maybe. But yeah. All right. All right, I need to move my camera off the countertop, and I actually need to lower it and change the angle for this next shot. It will actually be to show, because I recorded a line where I say turn the heats down to low, so I need to show that visual to match the audio. All right, this should be good right here. Let's see. Slightly adjust that. All right, very good. I need to adjust the camera up for my recording line for this next part. Just one more moment for me to make this adjustment, and we should be good to go. Let's see how we look. We should be okay. And let this cook for about 12 minutes with the lid on. That's my line. Let's get in the first shot. Where's the lid? I grabbed the bowl thinking the bowl was the lid. All right, serious faces, people. And let this cook for about 12 minutes with the lid on. I got it. I think that was like 9 tries. But I got it. All right, let's move this to my main stove behind me here. I'll keep this on low heat. Then I actually need to get my camera ready for the Sogo. It's right here. So let me adjust the camera for these next few shots. Actually, I take that back. My next few shots after this will be me fluffing the ruz, but I'll just give you guys a look at how the Sogo looks right now as we speak. So in here we have garlic, onions, green peppers, chili peppers, or serrano peppers if you want to be technical, finely diced tomatoes, a splash of vinegar, a touch of water, and in the seasonings we have ground coriander, cumin, sea salt, and black pepper. We mixed it all together, but before we added all the, cooked all the veggies and made the sauce, we prepared the Sogo, which was a form of beef sausage. We browned it in olive oil just for a few minutes on each side, just to give it that nice coloration. Then we removed it from the pan, and then we did all the stuff with the veggies that I just described. And once we had all the veggies and the sauce combined, then we let it cook for about 5 to 7 minutes, and then we reintroduced the beef sausage to all of this, and we've been letting it cook ever since then. It has been approximately 15-ish minutes. That's all it really takes, is 10 to 15 minutes for it to cook. And while we were doing that, then we worked on the ruz bil-sha'riya, which is behind me on the stove, on my main stove. So before I actually, here, let me turn off this camera because it likes to overheat. I actually need to prepare the greens. So let me give it a quick wash. All right. Back over with my cutting board. This is Zabada. I'm not going to use all of this, but I might as well chop it all because I use it throughout the week. In other news, so this past week, I did introduce a new video series called Arabic with the Egyptian Cook. So if you've been watching me for some time, and I don't mean necessarily with this live, but just my videos in general, about 99% of my speech is in English, and then whatever food or certain lines I will say in Arabic. Many of you have expressed your thoughts and opinions, some good, some bad, and everything in between. Like the good saying that they like, you know, that I'll say certain words in Arabic because they learn what those words mean. And then there are those who hate that I do that, like where I say lahma, for example, instead of me saying meat, I say lahma in my recipe videos. And there are those who actually get really upset at that, which I don't understand why. It is what it is. And then there's everybody in between who find it comedic or whatever the case may be. So I did some brainstorming and put some thought into it. And that's what came to be with this new series called Arabic with the Egyptian Cook. I already introduced two videos. The whole purpose of the series to where I essentially will focus on like one word or one phrase at a time, where I introduce what that word is. So the first video, mind you, these are only like about 30 seconds long. I think both of them are 34 seconds long each. The first one, I spoke about the word khalas because I'm constantly saying, okay, khalas, in each of my recipe videos. And then the second video, I did it on the word lahma. So if you have not seen my new video series, definitely check it out. And for my YouTube members, I have it set up to where you have early access to all of those videos. So I currently have 8 different videos for that series that I put together for you guys. So definitely check them out. And if you're not already a member, definitely click that join button. It is one of the best ways to support what I do here in my kitchen, sharing Egyptian food, culture, and of course the spontaneous yelling. And if you've been wondering why there is a green screen behind me here this entire time, that's actually what I use for this video series, the Arabic with the Egyptian Cook, because I actually record the video right here where I'm standing in my kitchen. I set up the green screen immediately behind me, so that way it eliminates the background of the refrigerator and all the nonsense behind me. So that is why, if you're wondering why the green screen has been there, I just moved it to the side because for the purpose of my cooking videos, I do not use the green screen. All right, so the greens are chopped up. My next Arabic with the Egyptian Cook episode will release to everybody on Tuesday. It is currently available exclusively to my YouTube members where you can watch it now. Episode number 3 is going to be for the word yalla, followed by number 4, which is for Bismillah. Number 5 is Samna. Number 6 is Ruz. Number 7 is Shariya. And number 8 is Zibala. So just to give you guys an idea of what to expect with it. I also do plan to go over the letters and other things as this series grows. And of course, I'm going to continue sharing Egyptian food and culture with my cooking each and every week. So definitely check out my new series, Arabic with the Egyptian Cook. So let me set this to the side. Let me bring this back over. Let me clean up my area. And then let me get ready for my next few shots. Oops. These bowls can go in the dishwasher. We no longer need them. All right, let's bring this back over here. Let's check on the ruz. This right there. I need to turn this camera back on, my main camera, because I do have some things that I need to record. So let me bring it back up onto the counter. So that way it can see in the pot, considering that this is a deeper pot. So I do have to bring the camera up for that. Let's see, when the cook time is up, give the ruz b'shariya a gentle fluff. Now back to the Sogo. All right, tilt this down. Oh, that's part of the tripod. I was like, what is that thing? All right, that should be okay. Let me turn this back on. Keep it at low. Oh, need to take the lid off first, though. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. Let's record the shots that we need, and then we can plate this. We can record the intro and outro lines, and we can say Yallah Bismillah, and we can eat. So I'm just going to give it a gentle fluff now. You don't want to aggressively mix it, because then it can mush up the ruz, and you don't want that to happen. So I do need to record this next shot. That simple. All right, this can go back to my main stove. Let's bring the sagot back over. Now back to the sagot. Here's how it should look once finished, then to serve. So I just need a couple shots to showing, that way for like the final cut, the viewer can see like how it looks while it's still like in the pot and before we plate it. All right, looks like you guys can still see everything okay. Oh, I need to turn this back on, duh. Whatever, it is what it is. All right, that's all set. The Sogo is done. The rose b'sharia is done. Now we can plate everything up. So let me move this back over to my main stove. Let me clear the countertop area. I no longer need the countertop stove. So turn that off. All right, we're back on the main stove. We're all set with the countertop stove. So let's move this out of the way. Okay. Need to move this off the counter. My main camera, that being. All right. I also need to adjust the angle and zoom as well. All right, that's good for now. We'll adjust it in just a moment. Don't need this knife. This can go in the sink. Wipe down our area. Clean it up. Thankfully today, I did not make that much of a mess in comparison to what usually happens, which is a good thing. All right. Let me grab a bowl. I need to, okay, so I'll put this here. You guys can still see the bowl. YouTube can still see the bowl. TikTok can still see the bowl. Life is good. Now I just need to adjust my main camera so that way it can see that for the final cut of this recipe video. Nope. That's the wrong way. That's too far. All right, tilt it down. Nope. Just a little bit more. All right, that should be okay. All right. Now, I need to get a shot of me sliding in with the bowl because in that point I say to serve Sogo. That's my voiceover line that I recorded earlier at the very beginning of this live, actually. So let's get the shot in. I try to get it to land as like centered with the screen and with the way the camera is positioned on the countertop and all that. That's why I did it several times. Sometimes it landed off center, whatever. I try to get it as close as I possibly can. That way it keeps the focus for like the final cut of the video. It keeps the focus, like when you're viewing the video, you're not constantly looking at the top of the screen or the bottom of the screen. Like I try to keep everything as best focused to the center of the screen as possible. All right. Don't need this plate here. Do I have any other recording lines for this part? I don't think so. It's okay. Not until I finish serving everything. Okay, let me set this here. Move that out of the way. This can get out of the way too. Let's come over with the ruz. This is vermicelli rice, also known as ruz bil sharia. All right, for this next part, since I'm putting everything in the bowl and serving the food, I do go radio silent with my speech as I am recording those shots, so you guys can entertain yourselves in the comment section. But please keep it respectful. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that completes my radio silent portion where I essentially just put this bowl together, took the shots I need for the picture, and here is the final result. Here you go, YouTube. You get first dibs. This is Egyptian style sogo. Here you go, TikTok, Egyptian style sogo. I do have some recording lines, just a few that I need to record. You have to try this Egyptian food. Let's make this Egyptian style sausage. That one should be okay, but I'm going to review it before we move forward to the next line. You have to try this Egyptian food. Let's make this Egyptian style sausage. All right, food's all in focus. I said everything okay. We can move on to the next line. For more Egyptian food, culture, and spontaneous yelling, click join to become a member. Click join to become a member. It is one of the best ways to support what I do. I said click join to become a member twice because I stumbled to become a member in the first time I said it. Let's make sure the food is all in focus and we should be good to go. Okay, food's in focus. All right, one more recording line. Yalla bismillah. Yalla bismillah. Yalla bismillah. Yalla bismillah. You have to try this Egyptian food. Let's make this Egyptian style sausage. That one I'm just holding it up like a little bit closer to the camera. We should be good to go. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Egyptian style sausage, also known as sogo. And yes, this is beef sausage. There is such a thing. A lot of people will automatically assume that sausage is pork. That is not the case. Sausage, by its very definition, is a cylindrical length form of minced lahma, which is meat in Arabic. In this case, it is beef. So let's go ahead. We just said Yalla Bismillah, and now we can eat. I do need to record a few lines, not a few lines, a few shots of me taking that first bite, and then we should be good to go. And that will essentially conclude our live and everything I needed for this recipe video. So let's go ahead and dig in. Mm-hmm. Tastes just like kofta in a way, but not as saucy as Egyptian style kofta. Just turned off that camera. I'll give you guys one final shot. I'll take a few more bites. And that will essentially conclude today's live where we made this Egyptian style sago. So to give you guys a quick rundown of what we did, we started off this live with me recording all of my voiceover audio lines. Then we prepared the veggies. Then we sliced and diced some veggies up to get them ready. Then we took the sago, which is this beef sausage, and we fried it in olive oil for a few minutes on each side just to give it some nice brown coloration. Then we removed it from the pan. Then we fried up some onions with minced garlic. Once it became fragrant, we added in some sliced green peppers, green bell peppers, I should say, as well as some chili peppers, and more specifically, serrano peppers, if I'm saying that right, for that added heat. And then we let it cook for a few minutes, just enough for the peppers to soften a little bit. Then we added in finely diced tomatoes with a splash of white vinegar. And then we seasoned it with ground coriander, ground cumin, sea salt, and black pepper, those 4 seasonings. Then we added just a splash of water. We let the sauce and the veggies cook for about 5 to 7 minutes, just to allow it to reduce and slightly reduce and thicken up a little bit. And then we, once that happened, we brought back the browned beef sausage. We added it in, we gave it a nice mix. Then we let it cook for approximately 10 to 15 minutes. It was more towards like the 15-minute side for it to be completed. While that was cooking, then we made the ruz bil-sha'riyya, which is Arabic for vermicelli rice. That was a very simple process. We fried the vermicelli in semna. Semna is clarified butter. We let it cook for a few minutes until it browned. Then we incorporated the washed Egyptian ruz, mixed it up, let it sit for no more than a minute. Then we added some water. We brought it to a boil. We reduced the heat to low. We let it cook for about 12 minutes with the lid on, and then we gave it a gentle fluff at the end, and then we plated everything. We garnished it with some greens, and there you go. That sums up today's live where we made this Egyptian style sago. In terms of the recipe video itself, the final cut will post to exclusively for my YouTube members by tomorrow night. For everyone else who is not a member on my YouTube channel, it will not post until next week. Yallah bismillah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude today's live. Thank you to everybody who joined in as I made this Egyptian Sogo in today's live. I appreciate each and every single one of you. If you're not already following me on TikTok, go ahead and hit that follow. And if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, click that subscribe button. And also, if you are not a member on my YouTube channel, click that join button. It is one of the best ways to support what I do here in my kitchen with sharing Egyptian food, culture, and of course, the spontaneous yelling. You get early access to all of my videos, especially my new series called Arabic with the Egyptian Cook. I currently have 8 episodes, I guess you can call it. They're very short. They're average 34 seconds long. So definitely check them out and let me know what you guys think. From the first 2 that I shared between yesterday and Friday, it seems like you guys are really enjoying what I'm doing with it. Your feedback is much appreciated. For this full recipe, it will post exclusively to my YouTube members by tomorrow. The full recipe itself will be on my website, theegyptiancook.com. That is the one place where you can find all of my recipes, including ingredients list, written instructions, and as well the video to follow along. Thanks again for everybody who was in today. I am Mohammed the Egyptian Cook, and that concludes today's live. I will see you next week.